One. 5 hacks to press your best with not as much stress. We are here with Aleks to teach you how to improve your press with just a few little tweaks to your technique that will give you some surprisingly good results, perhaps even instant results. And we are doing this because I have a challenge coming up, a 9-day pressing challenge. It's a 9-day training cycle. So that's going to focus on the programming side. We've got a lot of really cool minimalist pressing workouts to help you bust through whatever pressing plateau you might be at to help press the next size heavier kettlebell or double kettlebells, as the case may be. It's an awesome follow-up to 300 swings, and it's super fun and it's super affordable. So if you want to take part in that, the 9-day kettlebell pressing challenge, which can be repeated, that can be put on repeat. It's just a 9-day training cycle, but you can do it for much longer than that. Minimum 9 days, of course. I'll put the info and links below. So this will be a nice supplementary episode to that, but it will benefit anybody who just likes putting weight overhead. We've got 5 proven effective ways to enhance your pressing strength, apart from good programming, just technical points. So Aleks, welcome back to the podcast. Good to see you, my friend.
It's always good to be here.
Indeed it is. By the way, if people are just listening, we're going to describe these technical tweaks in as much verbal detail as we can. If you're watching, Aleks is going to actually do a little show and tell. He's actually got a little kettlebell with him. So if you're normally just a podcast listener, this might be one where you want to hop over to the YouTube channel just so you can see the visual element. I've got my Hercules shirt on, but Aleks will be the one pressing today. By the way, it's good to be back, dude, because I haven't done a podcast in like 2 weeks because it's all this baby business. You know what I mean?
That's right. Big congrats on the new bundle of joy.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, mom delivered like an absolute champ. Things are going well. And yeah, so Briga, she was born, I think it's pronounced on call. You're the language guy. It's French.
I saw it for the first time, and I think it's, en call is how I read it. I'm not sure. It was the first time I'd ever heard of that, but I had seen a video, and I saw you posted it as well, of just such a birth. And I had seen one the day before, and when you talked about that, I was like, what are the odds that like I would see this amazing video? And then that turns out that's how Briga was born.
It's a mermaid birth, born in the fully intact amniotic sac. Crazy. Apparently only 1 in 80,000 births are like that, but there's lots of I guess superstition around it. That the midwife says it's a sign of great wisdom. Other people tell me that she's going to be clairvoyant. So watch out, friends. But we'll save that for another conversation. Let's talk pressing, Aleks. We have 5 tweaks we want to go through. This is going to be a short, hard-hitting episode, so take out your pen and paper, gentle listeners. Let's get right into it. Aleks, what's number 1, or what do you first want to introduce to people?
Well, the first one that I want to talk about is I want to start by looking at the things that people tend to think the least about, and we're going to kind of work our way down so that we can make this quite a bit stronger. So the first one that we're going to talk about is going to be the grip. Now, you can definitely press with a looser grip. There's not a problem. But one of the things that you're going to find is that the harder you squeeze the bell, in fact, I'm going to grab this adorable little kettlebell right here. So you'll be able to see.
Cute. It's so cute. It's so cute. That's how Marin says. That's what Marin said about the baby. It's so
cute. She spared no words. It's wonderful. And it's true. It was a very cute baby.
And the kettlebell is very cute too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of course. Yeah. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to want to squeeze the bell just exactly like what it sounds. There's nothing special or ninja about it, but squeezing it is going to allow you to recruit more muscle, in particular in your hands. And your hands have the highest concentration of nerve endings of any other part of your body. And because strength training is essentially nervous system training, the more that you can recruit your nervous system toward any given strength feat, and the less you try to just kind of laze around and do the bare minimum, the stronger your press will be. So this means that even if you're not doing crazy volume, you can still see some pretty impressive improvements.
So really, really good point. Again, nothing like crazy here. We're just saying when the kettlebell is in the base of your palm, give it a little love. Just squeeze that thing, and the tension will sort of radiate and magnify throughout the entire system. I mean, this is actually something that I learned about in a different context. I always go back to music, and it's something you actually have to fight against the music, because I've noticed if I get too tense playing guitar, or sometimes when you're just playing all these shreddy passages, you start tensing up. It's just so sick and awesome. But then the more tension you get in your hand, I notice the more tension I'll get in my face too. And I'll sometimes notice that I have too much tension in my hand, because I'll make like a constipated looking face. And of course, you don't want too much tension in anything, especially when you're trying to go fast. You want to just find just that right balance between tension and relaxation. And same thing with the kettlebell press is, you don't need to like
Death grip it.
Yeah, you don't need to like completely death grip it, but you do want to apply some pressure to that press and not press with a completely open or relaxed hand.
Think like a firm handshake. When you shake someone's hand, unless you really dislike the person or you're really just trying to send a message, you're not like trying to absolutely crush their hand. What you're trying to do is you give them a firm handshake, so they see you're a respectable gentleman or lady.
That's right.
And it's the same thing with the kettlebell. You just give it kind of a firm handshake, because if you over squeeze, there is a
It'll backfire.
Yeah, it'll backfire, because there's a concept. I think this would apply here. It would be called dominanta, which is that your body's mostly going to focus on whatever the dominant input is that you're giving it. So if the input that you're giving is you got to squeeze super duper hard, it might take away from your pressing power. So just a firm enough, like handshake type grip on the bell should be enough to help you to get a little bit of extra juice out of your press.
Yeah. Excellent. Very, very good. Okay. Point number 2, Aleks, please tell us.
Now, point number 2 is going to be the glutes. Now, just yesterday, I was teaching a friend the press. Now, he knows how to do presses, but he needed to work a little bit on improving his strength in the press. And one of the things that I had him work on was making sure that he was squeezing his glutes, because a lot of times if your lower body is disconnected, given the fact that it is resting, or your upper body is kind of resting on top of it, you don't want a weak or flimsy base. So you want to make sure you're squeezing your glutes. This is also going to help you make it easier to keep your abs tight, which everybody has probably heard as a pressing tip. So that would be the next one, is making sure that you squeeze your glutes. Make this a full body exercise and leave no stone unturned.
Sorry, Aleks, I heard absolutely nothing you said because we have a visitor here, Marin. It's funny. I moved up to the bedroom closet, thinking I would have a little more privacy, and they just invade nonstop. All right, Marin, you want to say hello to Aleks real quick?
Hi, Mare Bear. How you doing?
How you doing? Oh, she can't hear you. She doesn't have the headset on.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to finish my podcast. Can you go see what Rona Mira up to? Thanks. All right. So, Aleks, I'm sure tip number 2 was really good. Can you give the quick executive resummary for me?
Absolutely. Squeeze the cheeks to make sure that your low body is keeping up with what it should be doing to help you not just press easier, but have a more stable base.
Yes.
So that when you want to start moving up to heavier and heavier weights, your legs are not going to be the limiting factor.
Yeah, great reminder that the military press, especially the kettlebell military press, is people think of it as an upper body exercise, which isn't wrong. It has an upper body emphasis, but it is a total body exercise, right? Abs are braced. Everything is sort of linked together. We want tension, right, throughout to support that linkage, but not so much tension that we have that sort of backfire effect as well. So awesome. Yeah. All right. Point number 3, Aleks, please continue.
All right. Yeah. And one thing I'm just going to toss in too, because I mentioned this and you just mentioned it. I'm not putting the abs on the list because I feel like everybody knows this. These are in particular things that people have a tendency to completely forget about. Everyone's heard, you got to squeeze your abs, for this, that, the other thing. So keep that in mind, but that's not going to be the main thing. Next thing we're going to talk about is you want to keep like a nice big chest. What I like to tell people is like spread the logo on your shirt. Now, the point behind this is that you want to, number one, make sure that you're not in this sort of like quasi hollow position, which is not great on your shoulders, but you also want to make sure that you're getting your upper back muscles engaged to the best that they can to help you to assist in making the press. Now, obviously your back muscles are not actually pushing the weight up, but they're going to help stabilize things. They're going to help make it a lot easier for you to move properly. And they provide a little bit of support to the shoulder muscles. And I've found other people I know, in fact, like I said, yesterday I was teaching a friend of mine the military press, and that was one of the big things I had him do. I told him, spread the logo on your shirt. And one of the problems he was having with one of his shoulders, which was clicking when he pressed, the problem went away. So people forget about it because we sit a lot. We just are kind of unconsciously in this sort of fetal position, which is an appropriate thing to talk about given the new bundle of joy in your life since it probably came out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're very funny. That's a big one. Keep a big chest, or like I tell people, spread the logo on your shirt. It's going to make the kettlebell feel like it's a lot lighter.
Yeah, and if you have trouble with that, then just wear a cool shirt like the one I have, where you'll just want to do that naturally. And there
you want everyone to see your Herculean muscles.
Hercules. Apparently, they're making another live action of this, and I've been mostly disappointed with these live action remakes. So I hope they don't butcher this one.
The only way I could see a Hercules live action movie being good is if it's not like a children's movie. It's meant to be kind of like an adult. I don't want to say adult.
Well, didn't they try that with The Rock? Didn't he do a Hercules movie that just was a
Dude,
complete abysmal embarrassment?
I'm sure he's been in so many movies. Honestly, he's like the guy who could do like be in a complete flop and everyone forgets because he's in like 5 more movies that year.
Right.
So it's like nobody has time to like actually criticize any shortcomings of any of the movies that he does because like just the average is way out in his
That
favor.
guy knows how to play the numbers game, man. He really does. He's like, if I just take an infinite number of swings at the ball, I'm gonna get one of them over the fence.
Yeah, he's incredibly prolific. I gotta respect him for that because you got other actors who are like, oh yeah, I do a movie at once every couple of years, and they're just resting on their laurels and one false move and like all of a sudden their career is teetering. The Rock can have multiple false moves. He's also got a lot of good ones, and so those are the ones people tend to remember.
Some of his bad ones I like. I actually did like that Rampage movie because it was just so dumb. It was actually enjoyable.
Never saw it. Never did see it.
He's a little skinny though, The Rock. He could use to put on some muscle. Maybe he'll listen to this podcast.
Yeah, Rock.
You should wrestle him.
Yeah, that would certainly work well in my favor if I wrestled him. I'm sure.
No doubt. Okay, next tip.
Suplex through like a flaming folding table with like wrapped in barbed wire. It would not
tag him on Twitter after this.
I will. I'm sure he'll jump right in. Now next one is going to be hip kicked under the working side. People have this idea that they need to be as strict and upright as possible. Now when you're doing this with double kettlebell military press, that's true. I mean, obviously your hip can't go over to one side or the other, but when you're pressing a single kettlebell, it's just physics, you're going to have to make sure that your center of gravity is in the proper position. And so one of the things to do is make sure that your hip is kind of underneath your body. So just to give you an example, I'm using a very light kettlebell. You can get away with a lot with a light kettlebell. But if you look at my position here versus here, the second one where my elbow can almost like rest on my pelvis, as it were, is going to be a lot more effective when the weight gets heavier. So again, this you can press from here, no problem, but you're going to be limited when the weight gets heavy. So it's better to prepare a little bit by kicking the hip over to the working side.
Right.
It's a lot easier to put some serious.
Yeah. So really, you're going to do what you would have to do anyways. If the kettlebell is heavy enough, you're just doing it ahead of time.
Exactly. And I learned this, this is something that like intuitively, I think I've known throughout the years, but this was really drilled into my head by a coach that I hired to help me with my military press last year. He said, look, when it gets really heavy, you're going to have to kick your hip over. So you might as well just start like that and not rely on that when you get there. You want to get ready for it. So you have as few different variables as possible. Ideally, the only real different variable you want when the weight gets heavier is that the weight is heavier. Everything else in the technique
stays the same.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, that's such an important point, right? Because specificity matters. And if you're training a particular groove and then things shift and you're not in that groove anymore, you are going to not perform as well, right? So train in the same position and posture that you would with, say, a 16 kilogram as for a 40 kilogram, something like that. That's really the point we're trying to get across there, right? Yeah. So cool. Kick the hip over a little bit. And that's number 4. We got one more, right, Aleks?
That's number 4. That's right. Now the 5th one is one that I don't really hear people talk about too much because, again, I think this is one of the things that people assume is just going to happen naturally, like kicking the hip over. But we don't want to assume these things. A lot of times people want to try, especially I know your followers want to be as strict about the details and as they possibly can.
Well, they're a very intelligent bunch, Aleks. Of course,
they're a cut above the rest. Yours and mine. I would
smell good too.
Yeah, that I don't know. I'll have to take your word for it. You may have met more of them than I have, but the next one is going to be you want to point your collar up slightly as you're doing it. Now, this is different from leaning back because a lot of times what you see is people will lean back when it gets heavy and they're doing that involuntarily. And the lean is coming, let's say, from the low back. That's not so much what you want. What you want is to extend the thoracic spine, meaning kind of like extend the upper back so that you get out of your own way as well as recruit more muscle. So this is going to help make sure that the muscles of the upper chest can get in, they get the right leverage so that it's much easier to press the bell overhead. And you want to keep your abs tight as you're doing this. So this is the thing is you're not relaxing your abs and leaning back. This is not like a lean. It's not like a standing bench press. It's a mild lean backward while keeping your stomach muscles tight. And then doing that is going to help you, again, get out of your own way so that the bell can get to its final path overhead.
The cue I like for this one, Aleks, is while you're keeping your abs braced, just imagine you're pushing like the top back of your head just like up towards the ceiling,
Yeah.
just trying to elongate, right? And you'll kind of naturally go into that position that you're talking about without compromising at the low back or something like that. I've found that very useful for myself and others.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
indeed. Okay, so let's just do a quick rundown summary again. The 5 pressing technique tweaks to help people press their best with less stress are
Very nice.
those.
By the way, I have to say that was well done. So grip, number 1, you want to hand shake the bell. You're not trying to death grip it, but shake its hand. Let him know, I'm happy to meet you. And you are now going overhead. Number 2 is glutes, okay? Because number 1, if you squeeze your glutes, a lot of times this is going to help you with squeezing your abs anyway. And it's going to help you provide a more sturdy base from which to press, which means that you can press your best with less stress. And number 3, big chest, which also rhymes with the previous string of words I just said. Big chest, just spread the logo on your shirt. All right. If you think about that, you're going to get the right idea. It's going to help you get yourself out of your own way. Number 4, kick your hip under the working side so that your elbow is right underneath your hip or somewhere thereabouts. Just going to make it a lot easier when the weight gets heavier, which is the ultimate point of pressing anyway, is to be able to press heavier stuff, that you'll be used to it. You're not going to try to manipulate a bunch of different, variables in your technique when the time comes. And then last, but certainly not least, is to extend at the thoracic spine. And what I like to say cue-wise is to point your shirt collar slightly upward. Or as Pat said, you kind of like you're raising your head and you're kind of pointing it slightly toward the ceiling.
Beautiful. Now, obviously, these are technique tweaks that should be used in conjunction with intelligent programming. So let me, again, put in a shameless plug for the upcoming 9-day kettlebell press challenge that we have. I shared a sample workout to my email subscribers today. It's going to be awesome. We have lots of really cool creative pressing routines that take between 10 to 20 minutes, very minimalist. Some focus on volume, others density, others intensity. So we're manipulating all those variables in a sophisticated way. And we know that you are a sophisticated audience. So if you want a good sort of follow-up upper body challenge, or at least an upper body emphasis challenge coming off of our 300 swings challenge, this would be a good one for you. Just head over to chroniclesofstrength.com/pressing challenge for all those details. And in the meantime, be sure to check Aleks out over at the Hammercast. And anything else you want to mention before we say goodbye, Aleks?
Yeah, my book should be coming out very soon. So keep your eyes and ears peeled.
Ooh, that's big news. Well, we're going to do a special episode when that arrives. So stay tuned for that. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you guys next time. Adios.